Throughout the years, we've seen iconic sprinting performances from athletes ranging from teenagers to 35 plus. In this video, we're going to look at the greatest feat of sprinting that happened at every age, from 16 to 30, across the 100 and 200 meters. The fastest time in both the 100 and 200 meters for a 16-year-old is held by the Thai sprinter Peripal Bunsan. His personal best of 20.19 in the 200 meters ranks him as the third fastest all time at under 18 level, while his PB of 10.09 in 100 meters, which he ran at this year's World Juniors, ranks him as the fastest athlete ever for the event at under 18 level. For this reason, I consider the 10.09 run as the greatest feat of sprinting for a 16-year-old, since it's rare to see athletes develop so early in the 100 meters, given the amount of physical power required to run the distance at an elite level. The greatest feat of sprinting for a 17-year-old goes to Erling Knighton for his run in the 2021 US Championships, where he finished third in the 200 meters in a time of 19.84 to qualify for the Olympics. Qualifying for the Olympics at just 17, when the USA had possibly the greatest depth of talent it's ever had in the event, shows that Knighton had reached athletic maturity well beyond his years. At 18 years old, Erling Knighton dropped another remarkable time of 19.49 in his 2022 season's opener. When he ran this race, it ranked him as the fourth fastest man ever in the 200 meters, but as of today, it ranks him as the fifth fastest man since Noah Lyles broke the American record in the World Championship final. Knighton's performance is the fastest time at under 20 level by a wide margin, with the second fastest time of 19.93 belonging to Usain Bolt. At 19 years old, Letsile Tebogo broke the World Junior record in the 100 meters at the World Junior Championships, running a time of 9.91 in the final. This was the third time in 2022 that he ran faster than the previous record of 9.97 that was held by Trayvon Bromell, and he could even afford to showboat before the finish line when he won the World Junior final, which shows he had the potential to run even faster. At 20 years old, the greatest feat of sprinting goes to Xavier Carter, who ran 19.63 in the 200 meters in Lausanne in 2006. Which at the time ranked him as the second fastest athlete in the event behind Michael Johnson. Unfortunately for Carter, the promise he showed early in his career didn't lead to any further success. For the greatest sprinting feat at 21 years old, the choice was between Usain Bolt's 2008 Olympic performance in the 100 meters and the 200 meters. I chose the 100 meter performance because it was the first time we ever seen a 9.6 in the 100 meters, and he did it while celebrating well before the finish line. The 200 meter world record he ran in Beijing was also incredible, but it didn't beat the previous world record by such a large margin, and I also think the 9.69 was a more memorable and iconic moment. At 22 years old, the choice again comes down to two of Bolt's world records of 9.58 and 19.19, which he ran in 2009. I'm going with the 9.58 performance because to this day, no other athlete has gotten within a tenth of a second of this time. Again, we can take nothing away from the 1919 performance, but the second fastest time in 200 meter history, ran by Johan Blake, is 0.07 seconds slower, which isn't as wide of a gap as we see when comparing Bolt's 100 meter record. At age 22, Asafa Powell ran 9.77 for the first time to break the 100 meter world record. At age 23, he ran it twice more in Gateshead and in Zurich. I chose his Zurich performance as the best feat of sprinting for a 23-year-old because it was technically his fastest time when thousandths of a second are taken into consideration, and there was less of a tailwind in the Zurich race than in Gateshead. At 24, the greatest feat of sprinting again goes to Asafa Powell, who broke the 100 meter world record by running 9.74 in Reti. What made this race so astonishing was that he slowed down before the finish line, leading to speculation that he had sub 9.7 in the tank if he had held his form through the line. At age 25, Usain Bolt won the 2012 Olympic 100 meter title while running the second fastest time in history of 9.63. Before the Olympics began, many thought that Johan Blake could take the Olympic title from Bolt that year, given that he was in better form coming into the competition, but Bolt showed his class and executed one of his best races ever to win gold. At the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, Ben Johnson became the first man to run under 9.8 when he won the 100 meter final in a time of 9.79. The margin between himself and the rest of the field was huge in this race, as Carl Lewis took silver with a time of 9.92, which ranked him as the second fastest man ever. Lewis would later be awarded the gold medal and world record after Johnson's times were nullified, but Johnson's performance remains as one of the most memorable sprinting moments that stunned the world of track and field. At age 27, the greatest feat of sprinting goes to Pietro Minea, who broke the 200 meter world record by running a time of 19.72 in Mexico. This improved on the previous world record held by Tommy Smith by over 1/10 of a second and stood for 16 years. Although this time was recorded at altitude, it is fair to say that Minea was the greatest 200 meter sprinter to that date, since Tommy Smith's previous record had also been set at high altitude. In 1996, Michael Johnson broke Pietro Minea's long-standing 200m world record at the US Championships with a time of 19.66. This, however, wasn't even his best performance at the age of 28, because he would go on to break the world record again a few weeks later in the Olympic final, where he ran an astonishing time of 19.32. This record would stand for 12 years and is considered one of the greatest performances in the history of athletics. At age 29, there was a lack of iconic performances to choose from, but the fastest time relative to other athletes of this age was Usain Bolt's race to win the 200m final in Beijing in 2015. Bolt ran 19.55 in this race, which ranked within the top 10 200m performances ever at the time, and secured Bolt's record 4th World Championship gold in the event. At age 30, Carl Lewis broke the 100m world record with a time of 9.86 when he won the gold medal at the 1991 World Championships. In this race, Lewis was up against Leroy Burrell, who at the time held the world record of 9.90. Lewis won in trademark fashion by finishing the race the strongest, and he beat the 24-year-old Burrell, who finished second with a time of 9.88.